The farm boy who saw the city for the first time. Prologue, the restless night. On a warm summer night in rural Iowa, Caleb Turner lay awake on his narrow bed, listening to the wind sweep across the cornfields. The farmhouse creaked softly, as if echoing the rhythm of the land. Outside, the moonlight painted the fields silver, and the cicadas hummed their endless song. For most teenagers, the quiet of the countryside was peaceful. But for Caleb, that night it felt suffocating. He had argued with his father again, about his future, about responsibility, about whether the farm was enough. "Son, you're not taking things seriously," his father had said sternly. "You spend more time complaining than trying." Caleb had snapped back, "I'm tired of this place. There's nothing here, nothing for me." The silence that followed was heavier than any words. That night, staring at his ceiling, Caleb whispered to himself, "I wish I could disappear, or at least escape this life." He didn't know that the escape he dreamed of would come sooner, and more suddenly, than he expected. Section 1. Leaving the fields behind. Caleb Turner lay awake on his narrow bed, listening to the wind sweep across the cornfields. The farmhouse walls creaked, the old clock ticked, and the smell of hay drifted faintly through the open window. He had argued with his father again. Not just once, but 3 times that week. First about chores, then about school, finally about his future. "Son, you're not taking things seriously," his father had said sternly, his voice carrying the weight of years of hard labor. "You spend more time complaining than trying." Caleb had snapped back, "I'm tired of this place. There's nothing here, nothing for me." His father's silence afterward was heavier than any punishment. That night, staring at the ceiling, Caleb whispered to himself, "I wish I could disappear, or at least escape this life." But escape never comes clean. Comes with obstacles. The next morning, Caleb's father drove him to town. The silence in the truck was thick, broken only by the crunch of gravel under the tires. They stopped at a small cafe by the gas station. His father tapped his fingers on the steering wheel before finally speaking. "You're going to stay with your aunt and uncle in Chicago for a while." Caleb blinked. "What? Chicago? The city?" "Yes," his father replied. "You need a change of environment. Hard work on the farm hasn't reached you. Maybe the city will show you another side of life." Caleb's stomach twisted. He had never left Iowa except for county fairs. Chicago was a word, not a place. "That's far," Caleb said finally. His father's eyes softened, but his tone stayed firm. "You're a good kid, but you're drifting. Maybe seeing the wider world will help you figure out who you really want to be." Caleb wanted to argue. He wanted to say no, but he also wanted to prove his father wrong. For the next 3 days, he resisted. He dragged his feet on chores, muttered under his breath, even skipped dinner once. But the decision was final. His father didn't budge. When the day arrived, Caleb boarded a Greyhound bus with a small backpack and an old duffel bag. As the bus pulled away, the fields he had complained about for years suddenly looked different. Peaceful, familiar, almost comforting. He pressed his forehead against the window, fighting the urge to cry. 5 hours into the trip, the scenery began to change. Fields became neighborhoods. Neighborhoods became suburbs. Suburbs became highways packed with cars. And then came the skyline. Caleb's eyes widened. The city rose like a metallic mountain range. Silver, glass, steel, shining in the afternoon sun. Towers touched the clouds. Billboards flashed. Train tracks wove between buildings. He felt small, utterly small, yet strangely alive. But the excitement was quickly interrupted. His stomach growled. He realized he hadn't eaten since breakfast. The bus stopped at a terminal, and Caleb tried to buy a sandwich. He fumbled with the unfamiliar vending machine, dropping coins, pressing wrong buttons. A man behind him sighed loudly. Caleb's ears burned. Even before reaching his aunt's apartment, the city was already testing him. Section 2. The city's lesson. Aunt Lisa and Uncle Jordan greeted him warmly. Their apartment was high above the streets, with windows that overlooked a restless city. At night, instead of the quiet wind and crickets from Iowa, Caleb heard engines, music, and the distant rumble of elevated trains. He couldn't sleep. He tossed and turned, wishing for silence. The next morning, Uncle Jordan said, "Come on, Caleb. You're coming with me to the community center." Caleb followed him through crowded streets, trying not to look overwhelmed. He tripped once on the uneven sidewalk, and a stranger muttered, "Watch it, kid." Caleb's cheeks burned again. At the center, dozens of teens were already there, playing basketball, using computers, studying, laughing. Caleb froze. He felt like he had stepped into another planet. A group of city boys looked him up and down, his flannel shirt, worn jeans, old boots. One of them grinned. "Yo, country boy, you lost or something?" Caleb's fists clenched. He hated being laughed at. But then the boy stuck out a hand. "My name's Malik. Relax, we don't bite. You new here?" Caleb shook his hand awkwardly. "Yeah, I'm Caleb. From Iowa." Malik's eyes widened. "The farmland? With the cows and tractors and, actual barns?" Caleb chuckled despite himself. "Yeah, exactly that." Malik slapped his shoulder. "That's crazy. Come meet the guys. They're gonna love this." But not everyone did. Some teens whispered. Some smirked. Caleb felt both welcomed and judged. Over the next few days, Caleb became a quiet celebrity in the community center. One boy asked, "Do you really wake up at 5 a.m. to feed animals?" A girl laughed. "Is it true you can drive a tractor before you can drive a car?" Another gasped, "You've seen a tornado up close? Like an actual tornado?" Caleb nodded shyly. Back home, these things were normal. Here, they were stories of another world. But the fascination wasn't always kind. Some teens teased him. Some mimicked his accent. One even mooed like a cow when he walked past. Caleb tried to laugh it off, but inside, he felt torn. Was he a novelty? A joke? Or something worth respecting? One afternoon, during a heated pickup basketball game, a boy named Trevor shoved Caleb hard and muttered, "Go back to your farm, cowboy." Caleb felt something snap inside him. Months of frustration, insecurity, and confusion exploding all at once. "Say that again," Caleb growled, stepping forward. Malik rushed between them. "Hey, chill out." But Caleb pushed him away. "I'm sick of people making fun of me." He swung his arm wildly, not hitting anyone, but alarming everyone around. The court fell silent. Jasmine stepped closer. "Caleb, what's going on with you?" He felt his chest tighten. His breathing accelerated. The whole world spun. He dropped the basketball and stormed out of the gym, disappearing into the crowded streets. Caleb wandered aimlessly. He tried to retrace his steps but got lost. He panicked when he realized he didn't know how to get back to his aunt's apartment. Finally, he stopped in a small park near the river, sat on a bench, and buried his face in his hands. Tears, hot, angry, confused, rolled down his cheeks. He whispered, "Why am I like this? Why am I always angry? Why can't I fit anywhere?" Hours passed before Uncle Jordan found him. Uncle Jordan sat beside him quietly. "You want to tell me what happened?" he asked gently. Caleb shook his head. "I don't know what's wrong with me. In Iowa, I felt trapped. Here I feel lost. I don't belong in either place." Uncle Jordan nodded thoughtfully. "You know, when I first moved to Chicago from my small hometown, I panicked every night for a month. I felt invisible. But then I learned something important." He pointed toward the river, where the city skyline reflected on the water. "This world is huge, Caleb, and different environments teach you different parts of yourself. But you must listen. The city is telling you something." Caleb sniffed. "What is it telling me?" "That you're stronger than you think. That you can learn, adapt, and grow. That running away from problems only brings them with you." Caleb stared at the skyline. He had run away from effort, from responsibility, from expectations, from himself. And now, for the first time, he wanted to stop running. Section 3. The closing lesson. The next day, Caleb returned to the community center. Everyone looked at him cautiously. Caleb took a deep breath. "I'm sorry," he said loudly. "I shouldn't have lost control. I'm working on myself." Trevor shrugged. "It's cool. I was out of line too." Malik grinned and tossed him the basketball. "You ready to play without trying to fight someone?" Caleb laughed nervously. "Yeah, I'm good." But rebuilding himself wasn't instant. Came in small, uneven steps. One day he helped younger kids with homework, but lost patience when they didn't understand quickly. Another day he joined a weekend volunteer project planting trees, but his hands blistered and he nearly quit halfway. He tried studying in the library's quiet room, but the silence reminded him of Iowa and made him restless. Each time he stumbled. Each time he wanted to give up. But Malik, Jasmine, and Uncle Jordan kept nudging him forward. "Slow down, man," Malik said once. "Growth isn't a sprint. It's a grind." Weeks passed. Caleb began to notice changes. He paused before reacting when teased. He asked questions instead of shutting down. He even started to enjoy the noise of the city, finding rhythm in the chaos. But the city wasn't done testing him. One evening, he and Malik missed the last train home. Caleb panicked, convinced they'd be stranded. Malik laughed. "Relax, country boy. We'll catch the night bus." Caleb frowned. "What if we get lost?" Malik shrugged. "Then we figure it out. That's life here." They did get lost twice. Caleb's nerves frayed, but he forced himself to breathe, to listen, to adapt. By the time they reached home, he realized something. He hadn't run away. He had endured. After 2 months, Caleb's parents came to take him home. The drive back to Iowa felt different. The skyline shrank behind him, replaced by open fields. But this time, the fields didn't feel suffocating. They felt steady, grounding. When he stepped out of the car, the quiet was no longer emptiness. It was balance. That night, his father asked carefully, "Did the city change you, son?" Caleb thought before answering. "No, Dad. I changed myself. The city just showed me who I could be." His father nodded slowly, pride softening his stern face. For the first time in years, Caleb felt ready to start again, to work harder, to listen more, to understand himself, to use both worlds, the quiet discipline of the farm and the bold energy of the city, to build a stronger version of himself. And deep down, he knew he didn't belong to just one world anymore. He belonged to every world he grew through. Closing message for teenagers. Whether you come from a quiet farming town or a loud big city, remember this: your environment does not define you, your response to it does. The world is wide, full of lessons waiting to shape you. You can grow anywhere, adapt anywhere, and become strong anywhere, as long as you stop running from yourself.